Good day and hello everyone. Welcome to the Connection Waterfield and to this year-long series of the origin stories of the waters, the rivers and the lakes of the world. We invite you to come and share the stories of your rivers and lakes in your watershed and bring to life and love these lovely water bodies in this year where we celebrate the World Water Law. We are beginning this series with the powerful stories of the wonderful and great rivers of the Indian subcontinent. Today is episode 3, and we will be listening to the story of the river, the Brahmaputra. While all rivers are powerful divine feminine force that descend or appear on the earth in answer to humanity's call, the mighty Brahmaputra is the male child of the great creator sent down to nourish and sustain the lands of millions of people across many countries. The mighty Brahmaputra is a vast and widespread river system with powerful tributaries feeding its flow as it rushes towards the oceans through a widespread delta. This is a river that moves through many countries and regions. It starts in the Ansi Glacier in the northern slope of the Himalayan range in Tibet. It is called the Tsangpo, which means purifier, and in Chinese it is called Yarlung Zangbo Yang or Yarlung Sangpu Xiang if you look at the Romanized version. There is a legend in Tibet about this Tsangpo river. It says that long before human occupation, the Changtang Plateau was covered by the waters of a very great lake. Then a bodhisattva, an enlightened being, to help the people in the region, cut an outlet through the Himalayas for the Tsangpo or the Great River. The mountains, gorges and jungles through which the Tsangpo flows in Tibet are considered extremely holy. It is believed that in the region, aging is slowed down and the animals and plants have miraculous powers. There is another mythological story in the region which says that many years ago, Amoga, the exquisitely beautiful wife of sage Santanu, was walking in the area and Brahma, when he visited, was infatuated with her. And they had a child. The child took the form of water. When Santanu realized that this child was a gift from Brahma, he placed the child in the middle of the 4 great mountains. And from there, the river flowed. Through one of the waterfalls at the bottom of the world's greatest gorge, it is believed is the doorway of the paradise on earth, the Shangri-La. And here is a space image of this from the satellite taken of this river as it meanders and rushes down this beautiful mountain range, carrying with it all the minerals and nutrients to the lands below. After passing in Tibet, the river turns suddenly to the north and northwest and cuts a course through a succession of great narrow gorges between the mountainous massifs of the Gyal Peri, that is here, and the Namwang Barwa, in a series of rapids and cascades. This is an area where whitewater rafting is extensively enjoyed by a lot of people who visit this area. Thereafter, the river turns south and southwest and flows through a deep gorge across the eastern extremity of the Himalayan range, with the canyon walls that extend upward of 16,500 feet on either side, and it comes down to a gentle landscape. What's this happening? Okay. This river suddenly takes a U-turn at this gorge before it enters India. This amazing spot can be actually seen when you look at this map, that the river moves and then suddenly at this point, before it enters India into the state of Arunachal Pradesh, it takes a U-turn, and that is the image you saw in the previous slide. And you can see then it moves southwardly and it enters into the plains of Assam. There are different names given to this region, and you can see here that this is the place where two mighty tributaries meet this river. That is the Lohit and the Dihang River, which actually come in here and join the Brahmaputra at this point as it enters into the state of Arunachal Pradesh and Assam. There is a legend about this story, about this river in Arunachal Pradesh. And it is also called the Mother Water, or in the native Bodo language, Burlang Butar, which means gushing waters. It is said in lore that the sixth avatar of Lord Vishnu, which was Lord Parashurama, was asked to behead his mother by his father. His other 5 brothers, elder brothers, refused to do it, and his father turned them all into stone. Being the youngest and the most obedient, Parashurama could not refuse, and he beheaded his mother with the wish that his father would bring back to life all his brothers whom he had converted into stone. But this was a sin that stayed with Parashurama, as a result of which the axe was attached to his hand. The axe he could not get rid of the axe from his hand. And so he was told to travel far and wide till he found the land where there would be a river that was trapped between the mountains. And he would release that river from the mountains. And the moment the river flowed and he took a bath in the river, his sins would be washed away and the axe would fall away from his hand. And the place where he is supposed to have smote the mountain and release the waters is a place called Parshuram Kunda, and this is in the Tenzu or the Lomita district of Arunachal Pradesh. Joined by many tributaries from the melting snows and the rivers of the eastern Himalayan range, this river has its water flowing and more volume added to it. This is also the region which sees the maximum rainfall in the world, and therefore the volume of this river is greatly increased. Joined by mighty tributaries adding flow and volume, the river Brahmaputra are clear and silt is carried. In the Tibetan waters, there is no silt that is carried downstream. But the Teesta River joins the Brahmaputra. It is said that there was a seismic event in the 18th century which actually caused the Teesta River to divert its direction and flow into the Brahmaputra, change its course, and carve a channel in a new direction, which is the direction in which the river currently flows. At its narrowest point, this river is 1 kilometer wide, It is gentle and soft when it flows as the Siang or the Hang in the state of Arunachal Pradesh. And still there are old-fashioned rope bridges which the people use to cross this river. Then this river flows down into the plains of Assam and spreads and grows as wide as 10 kilometers across in breadth. And here one sees that there is a tendency for silt-laden shores to emerge on the two sides of the river, creating embankments which we can see causing what is called the interweaving island zones of the river in Assam. This river is also the habitat for the single-horned rhino. And in 1985, this site was declared as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, which is the Kaziranga National Park. But it also houses elephants, Bengal tigers, leopards, wild buffalo and deer in this national park. It's mostly grasslands with the river flooding in. It's actually a mighty river system. When the river comes into Assam, it's silt-laden with the soil that comes down from the rain-soaked Himalayan slopes. And the silt load in the plains is much, much heavier than what you find in the upper regions of this river. As the river flows, it forms what is called the braided 450-mile course. This is a satellite image of the braiding that this river takes. And this braiding is also caused because of the Himalayan streams that flow into this river at different points, causing these islands to emerge as the river moves downstream. The braided stream in Assam is in fact used for agriculture and settlements, and this whole region supports the entire economy of the place and the livelihood of millions of people in this region. A unique feature is what is called the Majauli Island. This is one of the largest riverine islands that one can find in the world, and this is there in the settlement. And this is an aerial view of a thriving freshwater riverine economy, an entire village that lives on this thriving freshwater riverine economy. And here we see a very traditional Majalis tribal village house on the Majalis Island, which is really unique and worth a visit if you are planning to come to the Delta region. Then this river flows into Bangladesh. There is a legend in Bangladesh which says that Brahmaputra wanted to marry the river Ganga. But she wanted to test his love, and so she took the form of an old woman. And he did not recognize her as an old woman. So when he did not recognize her, she got angry and she turned away. But then he pleaded and she relented, and she allowed her sister, Jamuna, which is what in Bangladesh the Ganga is called, to go back and join him and flow with him further down till they went into the sea. Now, this is an aerial image and one can see the vast expanse of the delta. This is a river that flows 1,800 miles from its source as it flows down the Himalayas to its confluence, the Ganga. And then it meets with the Ganga. You can see here that the Ganga meets here. The Brahmaputra comes in, and the moment it enters Bangladesh, the Ganga does not meet the Brahmaputra in India. It meets the Brahmaputra inside Bangladesh. And after the two waters are mingled, it opens up into the Bay of Bengal. This mighty river actually supports a very robust riverine commercial economy. It is also referred to as the Ganges-Brahmaputra system. It is the third greatest average discharge of the world's rivers. It's the greatest average discharge of water as compared to all the other rivers in the world. The river's combined suspended sediment load of around 1.8 billion tons per year, which is the world's highest. This is one of the most fertile regions in this area. It is also the most flooded regions. Every year, there are cyclical floods where the Brahmaputra swells and overflows, and most of the floods happen in the downstream in Bangladesh. It is the land of the mighty river. It is also the land of the mightiest spice in the world. This chili, called Bhuta Jolokia, has, as of date, the highest recorded Scoville heat score for any chili in the world. And this grows on the banks of the Brahmaputra, way up north in Assam. There is a need for a cultural framework to be developed and created to honor, respect, and celebrate all rivers. And in India, we do this by establishing pilgrim spots along the rivers, where the river and the ritual of praying and honoring the river is intrinsically woven into the everyday lives of the people of the region, thereby reminding them of the divinity, the wonder, and the sacredness of these rivers as they flow. This is just one example of a Shaivite temple in a place called Sibsagar on the Brahmaputra river in the state of Assam. I would like the government share with you, there is a need for a national campaign across all countries to revive the cultural ethos of honoring and respecting rivers in a country. And in India, this has now emerged as a system where every river, the awesomeness of every river is celebrated through what is called the annual river festival, through music and all art forms celebrated that region that the rivers flow through. And I would just like to share with you a 4-minute video of the Brahmaputra festival that has just been celebrated recently. And this is annual event, and every year artists and musicians and people come together to celebrate the river.
ক্ষণে শান্ত তুমি ক্ষণে রুদ্র
পলে পলে নব নব চিত্র
ও চিৰ প্ৰবাহিত বৈ যোৱা ব্ৰহ্মাৰে পুত্ৰ তুমি সৃষ্টিৰে উৎস ও প্ৰণামো ব্ৰহ্মপুত্ৰ
নমামি ব্ৰহ্মপুত্ৰ
লহৰে লহৰে সাৱতিলা পিতৃ দৰে
তোমাৰ খোজল ধাৰাই শস্যক শ্যামল কৰে চিৰকাল তোমাৰ পাৰতে জীৱন বৈভৱ অনন্ত
বৈ যোৱা এনেদৰে বৈ যোৱা এহে ধৰণৰ মৰ কান্ধত তুজলি থকা যেন এখনি নীলা বস্ত্ৰ
প্ৰণামো ব্ৰহ্মপুত্ৰ নমামি ব্ৰহ্মপুত্ৰ
তোমাৰ লহৰে লহৰে জীৱনৰ জিউতি জ্বলে
তোমাৰ নীলিম নয়নতে চেনেহৰে ফুল ফুলে
নদীতো নহয় তুমি মহানদ ক্ৰোধিত নহবা হৈ দুৰ্মদ তোমাৰ অবিৰত গতি প্ৰবাহত হয়তো সহিছা যাতনা কত শত
তথাপিও গাইছা প্ৰহৰীৰ দৰে সঞ্জীৱনী মন্ত্ৰ প্ৰণামো ব্ৰহ্মপুত্ৰ নমামি ব্ৰহ্মপুত্ৰ ক্ষণে শান্ত তুমি ক্ষণে ৰুদ্ৰ পলে পলে নৱ নৱ চিত্ৰ
চিৰ প্ৰবাহিত বৈ যোৱা ব্ৰহ্মাৰে পুত্ৰ তুমি সৃষ্টিৰে উৎস প্ৰণামো ব্ৰহ্মপুত্ৰ
নমামি ব্ৰহ্মপুত্ৰ
প্ৰণামো ব্ৰহ্মপুত্ৰ নমামি ব্ৰহ্মপুত্ৰ Brahmaputra, Brahmaputra.
Thank you for sharing this journey of this beautiful and wonderful river.
Thank you, Malini. Wow. I'm sorry I came late, but I caught the most of it. And I loved ending with that music. It leaves you with such a good feeling with the river and with the water. And that's how we should feel when we're feeling that deeper connection. And I realized that as I was listening, and I've been part of each one. And so far, this is number 3 of this origin stories of the river and lakes. And I realized something's happening by being part of each one, which is I'm really getting to know that every river has its own essence, its own being. And, it's fascinating, because we're being taken in through the river song. We're being taken in to this, beautiful relationship that the river, that it's like we always think about our relationship with the river. We're blessing the river, but the river is now like blessing us, and we're getting to learn her stories and the experiences that would bring even the feeling that would bring about these stories, right? And I'm just amazed to, as you're showing different pictures, I can feel my body kind of doing these contortions, like, woo, how did I get yeah. And so anyway, I'm really grateful and to spend this time. And yeah, I mean, for some people, it might be a lot of information, but in just being with the energy and like, I know for me, I have to kind of let go a lot of the details or the kilometers or this or that, and I also know that for people that are listening and who we're inviting people to come and tell the story of your river, gather some pictures, gather some text. I mean, I'm going to own it. Like, I'm not going to be as textual as Malini, and you're going to know that that's okay, right? This is how we're starting out. And the invitation is your story is your story. Like as I was watching, and I'll finish with this, was I'm looking out at the Pajibscot River. That's the indigenous name for this river at this point. And I was thinking about, I'm being more and more inspired to start gathering some pictures and gathering some of the story. But it's got to be fun. And you got to be able, the research should be like, you're really intrigued and you just grab those highlights and put them on a Word doc. And, you know, Malini has offered to help us do those. So
We'll support you.
yeah. So no story is going to be the same. This is just getting this energy and creating this momentum. So I know we invite you to come play with us and share these videos and pass it back to you, Malini. And if you want to find out more about how to come into the Zoom room with us and be a part of more of the water connection water field, is not just this Friday. There's offerings on Thursday and, like I said, on Sunday, and we're building that. If you have a love for come play with us, so you go to either go to the whole .org to explore more, or you go to connectionfielddigest.org, just sign in and you'll get that weekly digest, which really is this beautiful array of offerings of the heart.